Hey everybody, Anthony 4x4 Diesel. Got a few issues with this rear door on this 150 Prado, and I'm not really the guy. I sort of try and stick to, the important stuff. All these bits and pieces, fiddly jobs, I try and avoid them really, and generally the Toyotas, can I say they don't really have them? But this one's a bit of a challenge. It's got a number of problems that I suppose maybe this one's got the lot, where yours might have one or the other or whatever. Going to focus on some different videos soon, so stay tuned. So one of the problems is the whole rear door. It's sitting out too far when you close it, so it rattles around. We've got a little adjuster stopper that holds the door and stops it rattling, but to do that, it's pushing the door out. So then the interior light stays on, or the door open light, so there's a little space. So we've added onto the bump stop until we can get a actual striker plate that's adjustable to pull the door in a few millimeters rather than push it out, and that will stop the rattling also. So really it's a bit of a wrong fix. It's a fix, but it's a wrong fix. So that's one of the problems, it's rattling around. Another one is the whole number plate here. One of the nuts in the number plate, plastics, spun in the plastic or whatever the case may be. That's why it's important to keep things clean, maintenance, R&R things, lubricate them, whatever, especially if you're doing outback trips, lots of dust and dirt. And the other issue here, this rear spoiler. So it's not too bad, but it's not how they're meant to be. See how it moves up and down around a little bit like that? It's a bit hard to demonstrate, I think. I suppose you can see what's going on there. So I was going to show you how to remove the rear spoiler, because I don't know, because I've never removed one before. This is the guinea pig right here. I thought I'd have a quick search on a YouTube channel, because I thought, since I do all these hundreds and thousands of videos showing people how to do things and all this information, if there was even a few other people that did things similar, there'd be heaps of videos showing how to remove one of these rear spoilers, because people might want to change the brake light or the wiper rubber, or you turn the power on, drop it down, whatever. It's a DIY thing. We don't really do that either. You want to see where you're going, not where you've been. We more concentrate on the front. Once again, people can DIY their wiper rubbers, wiper blades. We've talked about that. There's a few options there. But I figured, we're going to want to get it off sooner or later. So it's time to figure it out. So I've had a quick look at the procedure. I'll be honest here, I'm not really that good at reading and how to do things, and generally I find better way to do things than the actual procedure, as I'm sure a lot of other people do when they do these books and manuals and things like that. Someone or some group of people, they did it and it seemed like a good idea at the time, but on the ground sometimes things are a little bit different. So I just wanted to show you. Let's get around the other side here. So I've gone a bit crazy for a couple of reasons. I've got it. Look, you might not know this, but up the top of the door, there's a couple of grommets. I'll show you those in a minute. You remove those to get to a couple of bolts, but there's some other bolts underneath the trim, which, when I looked at it, I went, nah, they wouldn't. You got to pull trims off to get to, yeah, no, they do. And I've got to pull the whole trim off anyway. Look, it's a good idea. I'm going to give it a bit of a cleanup. Remember what I was just talking about? Maintenance, 320,000 Ks nearly. It's probably never really had any cleaning maintenance sort of thing. And we'll have a look how much dust is in there, and then hopefully I'll be able to get to that back of that number plate thing, because I'm pretty sure you got to pull all this off to get in behind there to get to that, to solve that problem. So let's have a look at the trim, because a bit of detail, so people, when they're taking trims off, they know where the clips are, what they're looking for, and I'll show you a couple of problems I found with this one and what needs to be replaced. So this is in the top corner, these grommets here. They cover one of the 10 mils, one at each top corner. And by the looks of it, seeing behind, this is where the trim sits. There looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4 more bolts. And I believe that's probably going to come off. I believe it because 6 bolts seemed like enough to hold this, but then why is it loose? I'm not too sure what's going on there. And some of those bolts could hold the wiper motor, so I'm not sure yet. So stay tuned, let's just see what happens. Now, there's another trim here that obviously looks removable. I believe you would get to it from the other end to release it, but that being said, this end's sort of hanging down a bit anyway. Like I said, people have probably had it off before. I'm not sure what's going on there. And it's probably to unplug the motor and stuff to make it easy to get this spoiler off. But I don't want to break it, and I've had a bit of, it comes down at each end. I've had a bit of a go at it, all right? You can see there's like a little slot thing there, which sort of says to me, pop me off. Someone's put some blue tack in there to try and stop rattles and stuff, but don't know if that worked or not, but anyway. This is the top of the trim, so you can see quite a bit of dust in there as well, which, to be honest, it's sort of unusual. You shouldn't be getting dust in, but anyway, that's another story. These clips are good. This is where the joint is in the plastic. They can just sort of separate pretty easily. or come back together. Now you got to make sure when you put it back, a bit more blue tack there, all right? Got to make sure when you put it back together. Don't. That's what the clips are meant to look like. This is one that's been smashed. It's not going to work anymore. So you can either just remove that, or if you've got the time or the patience, you can swap one with somewhere else or get it replaced ideally, but you might not have a Toyota dealer right where you are, so just remove it out of the way because that's rubbish. Thought I'd also just show you how these clip in. That's side, so there's three pieces. There's the main bottom trim from there down, there's the side piece, and then there's the joins on the top pieces separate as well. So just thought I'd just show you that so you can see. And there's what? These are the clips across the middle section, okay? Just so you can see, the middle piece goes over the side piece. So technically, you should be able to pull the middle piece out. It's gonna have 4 clips, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just gonna be a matter of grip and pull, and they just sort of slide out. They're nice tight fitting. The side ones fit in some other clips that they're all missing on this one, see? This is why I pull things apart to have a look, see? They're all missing, all 4 of them. So it's gonna be a Toyota job to get some clips for those, because there's 4 metal clips, and that's why there's this blue tack. It'll be getting removed because the clips, a couple of things could be in the, we might get lucky yet, we might find them down in the door there, because they go in these slots here. And yeah, so look, this one's got a bit of work to do. So I just want to show you, to get the trim off, don't forget, you got to take off, there's a bolt here, you got to take all your tool stuff out, whatever. There's a bolt there, and there's a couple of screws. I think one of them's in the handle here. I forget because I just took them out. Where was the other one? Oh no, there's a couple of screws anyway. yeah, this handle here and the top handle here, and that there, and the rest is all just clips. They all just pull out. You get your hand under the bottom, trim tools if you want, but I just put the thin gloves on and, you know, get the finger, sort of get all the, and just pop it all out nicely. I've lifted it all off together in one piece. To put it back together, you might want to actually pop the side ones in first. Don't fiddle around with it too much, because what will happen is you'll lose the clips, they'll fall off. So I'm going to see if I can find them in the door, otherwise order some from the local Toyota dealer, because it's not something we keep in stock. I've got to get in here with this icky, sticky stuff. Things you've got to do to get the light to come on auto. I'm in a dark door and it just wouldn't come on anyway. Just looking for those clips. Right, and give everyone a look what inside the door looks like. Anyway, try and find those clips and stuff. And that number plate screw, what do we probably got to take that whole assembly off, and it looks like some screws and some clips and a pain in the you know what. Get that whole thing off. No, it looks like those looks like 2, 3, 4 bolts maybe. And what are these clips down the bottom here as well? That could be it. So the plastic clip down there could be, I'd say that's part of it, plus another one down there, plus this one here. So it could be clips as well as screws, or it might just pop off. I'll just have a muck around, I'll let you know. I think I'm going to name this video the full rear door rebuild. Hopefully include everything you need to know and everything you don't. And you know how it is when you look at videos and you watch this video and you go, oh, the one thing I wanted to know and it didn't show me. I'm going to try not to make it that one. That's why it's going to be a bit longer and you get a bit of waffle and whatever. So, all right, so the 4 bolts in here I took out. Then you just give the, you see the plastic there? You just give it a bit of a yank, all right? That's why it's hanging out. It's got those 4 clips we showed you earlier. I'm going to take it right off and give it a clean up. Right, so I undid this plug. There's a couple extra wires here from other crap they added in. Remove that cable, it's just easy. Unclip it off and unloop it, you'll see. Now this is just sitting here as well, so we can take this door handle latch assembly off completely and give that a clean up as well. Do some maintenance while we're at it. This one's full of dust, this door. I'm not sure, because I haven't pulled that many doors apart, just my cars. I don't think there's this much dust in there normally, so it could be part of the problem of it not shutting and not sealing properly. It was X channel 9 and up the top underneath the trim. See these holes there? Someone's drilled. What would you have had installed under the rear trim at the top there? I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet either. The trim looks normal. No holes in it that I've noticed. But anyway, there's obviously stuff they've removed because the holes would have been there for a reason. I'm not sure. Interesting anyway. If you know anything, bada bing, let me know. I'll keep working away and I'll show you some stuff. Remember I told you about the number plate problem? This is one of the number plate bolts. Here's the other one. Remember I said it's broken and spinning and whatever, for whatever reason. Again, see the threads in behind, dirt and dust and debris, right? That's what's going to be causing problems with that thread, but now I can fix it all up. You get that number plate mounted properly. These clips here, very common on Toyotas. Maybe order yourself a few. They're only about $2 or $3 each from your dealer. In case you've got some missing if you're working on trims, or in case you happen to squash one and break one, I'd say maybe order 5. I just ordered 10, okay? So I'm going to have 10 of these. So I've got some spares. Plus I've ordered some of those metal clips that go at the side of the back trim, each side of the rear window. They were about $4 or $5 each, bit dearer, but anyway. Yeah, I'm going to get this off the car, get rid of all these extra wires and clean this up. So just giving this a clean up, and I brought it to the bench. I want to show you a bit how it works, because there's another problem with Prado rear doors sometimes getting stuck shut with dust. Okay, so this is the handle, and how the handle lifts up. Hard for me to hold it still and hold the camera, of course, but right. Let's see the hole that opens up when you lift it. So make sure your handle's all the way down when you're out in the dust. Otherwise, that's one way you're going to fill things up with dust, see? Because it could go straight. The rear doors, these design with these spoilers on the 150s in particular, is terrible. Actually sucks all the dust, water, any bit of moisture, dust. It just gets really sucked in around onto the back door. It's terrible. So what I want to show you is to release the lock. It's looking to do this, right? Because the cable's normally connected here, right? Clips into there, right? And the ball goes in this end here, and it's basically, right, this is the action. Either the cable pushes that way if you're pulling the inside handle. I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm saying it before I'm there. Right, I think the outside, because the inside handle does that, because the outside handle, when I pull it from behind, is going to go like this. See how it pushes down like that? Right, it pushes down like that and it opens up the hole. So one of the things that could be happening when doors are getting stuck shut is, if you look, I'll move this down. Right, see underneath. Mate, I'm going to a lot of trouble here. You better hit the like button. I'm spending a lot of time on this. I could just do it and not tell you about it. Anyway, right, bang. That's with the handle still up, right? It hasn't been pushed. See, it opens, you know, when you pull the handle, right? I'm just pushing that out the way to show you. Could you imagine how well this seals? Not bad, but not that good, right? So if you get a build-up of dust coming in, the cracks at each side and then sitting here, that's why when you pull it, it goes, try and get it focus, right? You know what I'm saying? You pull it and it kind of goes click, makes that big click, and you know there can be a build up of dust there. Now that's just one thing that can happen. There's so many moving parts, right? These, I'd say this is pretty good, right? Now the lock itself over on the door, it can get some dust in it and some issues as well. So compressed air is your friend, not lubricants, because if you start spraying lubricants in here, you might get dust and things sticking. See, why is it sitting there? All right, I don't know, there's a lot of history on this vehicle, which I don't know, but I'd be keeping it clean and dry. Water or air, okay? Let the water dry before you drive in the dust if you're gonna use water, but if you're having trouble with the door, I'll be putting a heap of water up underneath this handle to try and wash out all this arrangement so that this works properly. Now, that's your best chance of releasing the lock. And the lock, same thing, compressed air at the crack, compressed air underneath here, obviously. And of course, if that doesn't work, water and water pressure, because water will wash the dust out. Lots of water will probably solve the problem rather than lubricants, in my opinion. Sometimes you can try that, you know, when you're desperate, you do what you got to do, depends what you got. If you're out on the tracks, you might not have water or hose with pressure, but if you get to the next roadhouse stop, something like that, and you've got your hose or they've got a hose, connect it up and away you go. Anyway, so I've cleaned it up a bit, whatever, and I'm just trying to show you. So this is where the number plate little nuts sit in behind. And what you want to do, I don't know if you want to do this or not, put some inox in there to help prevent the corrosion, but that might attract dust. But I don't think dust is the problem as much as the moisture. You can see there's a bit of rust on this one, and it is absolutely ridiculous. No wonder it broke. I've got vice grips on both ends. It's got about another 2 or 3 turns to go, as you can see, before it's out. But it's giving me absolute grief at the moment, so be aware of that one. These bits of foam are handy as well on the clips. These ones are missing, but they're on the other end. They're on the car, so just leave them there. It's all good. So once again, these same clips, you might want to have some spares for just in case. And the 4 bolts obviously holds the cover and the handle and everything together from the inside, just to give you that bit of information. So 4 bolts, 4 clips. I'll remove the extra wiring they had for some reverse camera or something. Must have been awesome quality, whatever. But yeah, it's given a bit of a clean up on the outside of the door. That's roughly what you're looking at, in case anyone was wondering. on the outside of the back of the door. Yep, you can see at the moment I resorted to getting the head of the screw into the vise, and I'll have a crack at the other side, see if I can get to it now. I already know that I'm not that good at holding a camera and, you know. Yeah, that's hard to do, two-hand job. All right, so what went wrong? I think it was a lot of just corrosion really. So the hot tip is for hanging around in this video, maybe get yourself some stainless steel nuts and bolts, but even these are going rusty as well. So you might want to periodically, once a year, just take them out, blow them clean, spray some cleaner in there if you want, whatever, and put a bit of grease in there, a bit of lithium, spray grease, any grease you got that might stay there, copperies, whatever, I don't really care. And mate, use some nice stainless steel. They don't have to be Phillips, you can use the 10mm head. They're M6, so we're going to retap this piece here and glue it in position, put it all back together eventually, get some new bolts, make sure they work first, or we've got the bolts, but you know what I mean. Even those hex head, whatever, M6, whatever the case may be, whatever you like, whatever looks good, but beware of this situation, because if it gets to this point, this is the sort of trouble you have. It's been pretty painful, really. So this is what I used. Used it before. I think it's pretty good. As long as you don't put it in areas that vibrate their heads off crazy, it's just going to tear it off anyway. Should be right, let's see. Just outside drying in the sun. I might even put a second coat over. I haven't decided yet. Just had a little bit left over, so I put a little bit on that one. I would have liked to build them both up a lot, but if you build it up too much, I reckon it takes longer to dry underneath. So out in the sun for a while, 24 hours they think. In case you missed it in another video, don't waste your money on one of these in my opinion, unless they're 10 bucks, because that's about all they're worth. It's good that that's adjustable, but to make the door tight, it pushes it out. In our case, leaving the interior light on because the door's out a few millimeters, not pushing that quite enough. This is what needs to be adjustable. We need a slotted one of these so we can bring this in a few millimeters. There is a bit of room there. That'll solve that end of the door problem. Nice fresh one of those that's adjustable. If not, maybe we'll get a new one, or maybe we'll do it with this one first and elongate this out ourselves so that we can adjust it. Anyway, there was a reverse camera wire. I've pulled that back and cut it short. You can see that's the one that's deeper in there, but I've also come across some, there's a positive and a negative. So now I'm concerned about what that's all about. So what I'm going to do is pull it out as best as I can. I'm going to, since I don't know where they go, I'm going to cut the positive shorter than the negative so it can't touch each other, and just tape it up so that positive cannot touch anything, in case at any time there is power to it. And I guess as we work through the vehicle, when other trims come off at a later date, because this thing's looking, I got, you know, this side, we've got everything off here. We're about to pull the spoiler off. There's a lot going on here. I don't really want to, I'm going to have the whole car stripped. It's going to be one of those videos where it goes for 10 hours and the whole car's stripped, you know what I mean? So just going to tidy that up for now. So I've just pulled both ends of the grommet out. It's like spaghetti here, right? So there's your power, whatever that went to. I'm just going to put a bit of heat shrink over it and shrink that down, and just tuck it back inside the hole for later when we get to that. And this must be the camera wire, so just pulled that out of the grommet and whatever. We'll just cut what we can of that off, because that's all it is, rubbish. Anyway, you get the drift, right? So we just want to make that safe for now. There's no way that'll be able to come off. I've cut one one wire shorter than the other, that, you know, so they're not next to each other, and they're just going to be nice and tight in there. We'll get rid of it. Just letting you know, general information in case you're doing this yourself. Some ideas what you can do to make it safe until you work out what the rest of it is. But if you didn't have all this pulled apart, or you're putting it back together, which we're not, we're waiting on clips and glue to dry and stuff like that, and still got to pull the spoiler on, this is all just going to get tucked through. Oh yeah, and the little trade flame works well. Bunnings job, probably 20 or 30 bucks, works well for little jobs like this. Beautiful. Okay, we finished up there. That's all tidied up. Couldn't help myself. I popped that back a little bit, made sure everything was cool behind there. For now, make sure your grommets are back in properly if you ever have those off. You'll need to take those off. If you're running that K-on rear antenna bracket or going to install that, you'll come through a hole up here somewhere and come through, and you'll want to poke it through that grommet there. It is pretty easy to get to, and you don't actually have to pull anything other than the rear trim off, really, because once you take that screw out from under there, pop the trim out a little bit, you can actually feed the wire along the bottom, just tuck it under the bottom of this trim. So you only really need to access your hand to pull it out the bottom, and then you can just gently feed it along there, and the cable's long enough, it goes a fair way along to where you want to have your UHF, as long as it's not up the front of the dashboard, around the console area, that sort of thing. We run our antenna to a handheld at the handbrake, happy days. Another good reason is just keep watching videos, get yourself educated rather than watch whatever you might be watching, because this one's happened. Might not have happened to you yet, but it could be about to happen, because have a look at this one. See at the top corner there, all right? You can see where it was twisting, undoing, chopping into the plastic, right? Which means this one could have been about to break soon. So the key thing is, it's an M6, 6x1. You know, get in there, clean them up, run the tap through if you have to, before it happens to you and you've got to pull your whole rear door apart, or alternatively, pull your door apart, clean it up. You've got your button switch in there as well for your buttons here, whatever. Just be careful. As soon as I did wash this all out with water, I don't know if it was the best idea, but there's already surface corrosion in there anyway. And I was tempted to spray other stuff on there, but I just blew it dry, and I went, you know what? Any oily stuff's just going to get dust and everything just stick to it, which dust might not be too bad without corrosion. So I'm undecided on that. I might spray some inox or something in there, but this is drying up pretty nice. It's only been, you know, half an hour. But you can see it's going to come up nice and strong. I'll put it back out in the sun, let it finish drying, but I wanted to show you that so you can decide that it might be for you to do a bit of prevention. Maybe just go out and gently loosen your screws with a screwdriver and see if they come in and out easily. If they do, nothing to worry about. Put some lube in there. If they're getting a bit tight, be really careful. Doesn't really matter if you break it or not, because if you want to make it better, well, actually, you know, I mean, just don't take it out, I guess, if you never need to change your number plate and it's not rattling around. Happy days. Oh yeah, you're gonna love this. This is a pain in the butt to get off this thing, I tell you, right? So let's just have a quick look at it. Right, whatever you can see, whatever you can see, and you can't see whatever you can't see. Looks like there's a bolt that goes in something that hasn't been in something there, doesn't it? Look, 1, 2. Looks like something missing. 3. Something missing. 4. A clip missing. 5, 6. You can see our 6 bolts. What are these other bolts for? What are they? What's that all about? Is there something missing in here? I don't know. Look, I'm just going to show you this cover as well. So this plug here is one of those ones that is full of dust that you got to wiggle your fingers to death before you can get it off, and it's just really hard to get off. So when you do what I did, because I said I didn't want to bust this, haven't had one off before, but as suspected, I'll show you what happened. So I went, okay, let's see if we can get to the plug. So I took it off, and of course it was going to be difficult. That's why they put this panel there, so you can get to the plug, right? Just remove the panel to get to the plug, which is a good idea in theory when the car's new, but when it's full of dust like this, you know how tight clips are. So basically, yeah, we avoided that. We mucked around trying to get to it because the little tab's kind of at the bottom side. I don't know which way, I don't know if I'm left, right or center or which way I'm at the moment, but the tab for the plug is at the bottom. It's hard to get to. It's a pain in the butt, and you can get to it, and I got to it, but it wouldn't come out because of all the dust. So when you're trying to hold the spoiler on your own and you've got dust jamming the plug and you just need an extra set of hands, so there's your tip. I would advise getting this cover off first. I'll show you how it comes off. Right, now the reason someone's had some blue tack there, well, this one's already broken, so there's 2 clips, right? So this kind of sits, there's a slot, so you can see where this goes, if you can see. I think that goes in there like that, right? So don't pull the inner side. If you're going to pull, I was right about that. See this little tab here at the end there? I don't know if you can, probably can't see that. There's a little tab to pop the clip up on the end. So either someone's done that, or did I do that? Because I did do that, and didn't feel like it was coming out, and that's again because of all the dust. See that clip? It's stuck in there. This is broken off, so I'm going to get it out, glue it, make some more use of that Loctite epoxy. I've got the screw, so that was already broken, and then I went, hang on, we're going to have more problems. So whatever you do, do not pull this outside trim here upwards to snap that, because you will snap it off, right? You got to slot, once you get the 2 clips to the outer side, driver's side of the car, the outer side, 2 clips, boom, 2 of those should pop up if the car was new, right? And then you slide it that way to the side, okay? So there's that little important information. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe, turn the bell on. Anyway, we'll clean up all the blue tack. I'll get this off if I can. Look, it'll hold with one. I'm not too worried about it. It's an older car. What else is broken? Is it broken nearly? No. So I'll just have a look around, see what else might be broken or nearly broken, like that. See, it looks fairly clean. So it might have been me when I did the little slot there to get underneath to lever it up gently, and it just goes crack. I think I might have cracked one side, and I went, no, I'm not doing that. And that's because you really need to get under it, right? Here's the tip. Again, we'll slot that back in the way it's meant to go, right? And this is when I'm not putting that in because that's, see the clip, you really need to get 2 flat blades or some trim tools, whatever you've got there. I'll just grab that one within reach, and somehow while the trim's still on, so nice and thin, get underneath here, right, and pop that out. Whoa, there it is, right? So it came out. Sounds bad, but there it is, right? There's the piece that we want. So I'll glue him back together, and we'll get it all back together okay anyway, right? Happy days. So just wanted to show you all this, people. I haven't found anything yet why it's rattling loose and all that. I'm just looking at all these holes that aren't used going, you know, high spec model, something or rather, I don't know. But I'll have a look around, see why it's loose, get it all back together and get it cleaned up and back on there. Anyway, so there's the top of the door. It's got a couple of locating clips, as you can see. There's one of them. You've got your wiper arm, your wiper motor, 3 locators. There's another one up the top there. As you put the spoiler back on to sit it in position, there's the 3rd one there. You can see a lot of mess around here. You can see there's nothing really here to see, and those 6 mounting points, if they're tight, 1, 2, wherever they are, whether the 6th one is, but it's there somewhere, it doesn't matter. If they're tight, this can't move around, really, you know. That's mounted on rubber, like they normally are. Stop vibration, so it's nothing to do with that. If you ever need to replace your rear washer motor, then this is it. If you're going outback trips, you need to throw a whole lot of water up under that spoiler to rinse all the dirt out properly. The spoiler's, well, not full of it, but pretty well full of it. You know what it's like, one trip and it'll take you hours and hours, many car washes of water going up into the spoiler and draining out again to get that dust. They literally fill up with dust. They're like a dust box, absolute dust box. Up the top here you can see 1st hole, 2nd hole, 3rd hole was a bit hidden there. 4th hole and a couple more on the end, showing you some different angles. So this red stuff's been sitting up here for a while. Obviously where your washer tubes come in, they've just got a Y section on it, if you like, a V in it, whatever, to get it facing the right way without bending it. This is that plug I'm talking about. So you got this little, have a good look at it, you got this little tab to push in, but all the dust and everything around it just sticks them in there like a lot of other plugs. Like very much like the alternator plug as far as how stuck it was anyway. So definitely remove that cover, because that helps. But you can see all the dirt still sitting in here as well. Yeah, absolute mess, isn't it? Inside the spoiler, you can see the light there. Just want to flip it around and show you there's a couple of screws, which I will assume is what you undo to remove that LED or whatever 3rd or eye level stoplight. A couple of screws there. Don't drop any of this stuff, particularly when you're taking these screws out, that you don't drop them in the rear door. Okay, so now it's time to glue this. I've given it a clean up, obviously, because it allows you to see it's where that sideways clip pops in. So whatever you do not pull the inner side at all whatsoever. It's if you want to risk it for the biscuit, there's a little lever thing that goes under there. I wouldn't recommend it, because see how thin all this material is here? That's your problem there. They needed to make that a little bit thicker on the plastic because the dust gets in the clips. What you could do is stick a lot of water in there, okay? So give it a good wash out while it's wet. What does wet do? Water helps sort of lubricate things as well. So while it's wet and you pop it, you might have a better chance of popping these clips because they'll be clean and wet, sort of lubricated, okay? But just so you know where the clips are, so you get your fingers under there, or try and, if you open up a little bit of flex and it doesn't pop, then you might be able to get a flat blade underneath those clips. Just remember which side of the clips to be on. That's why the point of showing you this video, right? So you got the plastic of the car, the white, so you need to be between that white. Anyway, whatever. What I'm going to do now, I've just super glued is my trick. See the super glue? Right, it doesn't focus very well. There's a piece missing at this side, but we're going to build it up. So we're still going to use the epoxy, but the super glue would probably hold it. But with the epoxy on top should probably help. And I'm going to strengthen up this one as well. I'm going to add a little bit on the inside corners behind there on that one, and maybe a little bit on the outside as prevention for next time. Okay, I'm going to get on with it. There it is. I've done my paint job. A little bit on the outside, a little bit on the inside. Okay, outside, inside. That cracks, a little bit filled. Go put it in the sun now. All right, so conclusion, all this trouble, did it fix it? Well, Look at that. Just like a new one, not moving. Do you want to know how to fix it? Well, I had to pull it apart to make sure there's nothing wrong with it, because that's what I do, so I can tell you what you need to do. It's my belief, and what I did, by the way, I cleaned it before I put it back on, so those little rubber washers underneath don't leak, all that sort of thing. I'm going to show you this little clip now, right? This little plug, a little bit awkward to get to. It's going to be much easier to go in, I hope. And what it was to get out, I got the plug upside down probably, because I remember saying that, anyway, I can't even plug in a plug apparently. Let me have a look, which way does it go? It definitely goes. It's just, you know, holding a camera and trying to see what's going on at the same time. It's not happening apparently. Anyway, always plug in your plugs so they go click like that. See, it was even tight to go in. So the tab is at this bottom end here, but when you sort of got the cover on there, really hard to get to. So definitely got to remove the cover. So remember, it's from the outside side here, not from the inside. Hey, g'day, how you going? See, hang around and there you go, mate. Look at that, beautiful. Might have to edit and delete. Oh, look, you can see I'm using a phone. Look at that. Anyway, mate, that's way too much mirror going on there. But anyway, because if anybody missed it, the channel, it's not about me and me being famous. It's just about helping you, and that's it. So there it is. That's plugged in. All right. You can even see the Hilux over there. I know you've been looking at that for ages. All right. So plugged in. That cover's got to go on, so we'll wait for the glue to dry. Focus for a moment on what the problem was. What I'd already removed these grommets, tried to tighten that up, made no difference. So all I can come up with is refitting, well, tightening 1, 2, 3, 4. So you don't need to go to all this trouble. If you've got a rattly rear trim, pop the top trim off, okay, the one that goes across here that we showed earlier in the video, by hand. This is what I'm using, right? Bang. Sort of basically tight as you can by hand. It's going in a plastic, and that's got it nice and tight. I'm happy compared to the near new vehicle we have here. So bloody beautiful. I'm happy with that outcome at least. Well, at least I'm happy about something, right? But wait, there's more. Okay, so see those 2 clip holes? That's where they are. So now you know. That's where you kind of got to try and get into, and you can see why. Because look at your angle, right? If you're up there, you just really can't get the angle. So you got to risk it for the biscuit, or you just don't take it off. This is for if you've got to change that eye level stoplight or your washer motor or something like that. Other than that, just tighten up. Heaps of water up here will help keep it clean. The other thing you can do is, what I'm considering is not putting that cover on. If from further back, you wouldn't even notice it's not there, to be honest. It's just going to keep maybe a bit of weather away from that plug, but you know what? It's just going to fill it with dust and dirt behind there anyway. So I'll refit it, and next time it comes off, if it breaks, I'll glue it again. And one day when it's broken and I can't glue it, I'll just leave it off. So that's what I would do if I was you, if you have that situation. Meanwhile, back at the cattle station, it's time to put this back on while the glue's drying on that trim. I'll come back to this one. It's been out in the sun. Dig a fingernail into it. Can hardly mark it. It's pretty hard. I'm just going to not install the number plate for 24 hours, and I'm not going to over tighten it anyway. But you can see they've come up pretty well, I think. I was going to put a bit more on there, but I've gone, you know what? I've re-tapped it. I'll keep them clean. We know about it now, don't we, everyone? Everyone who's watching the video knows all these things now. R&A your number plates every 12 months, something like that. Pay your rego. Hey, how does it go? Change your clock, change your smoke detector battery. Well, maybe every 3 years, I reckon. But anyway, pay your rego, R&A your number plates. There you go. It's a new thing. See ya. Just put in the comments. It's a new thing. So I've just popped that back on and give each corner, the 4 clips, a bit of a pop in. No nuts and bolts yet. Probably a good time for me to tell you that you can actually, I'll make sure the wiring, if you ever have trouble putting I've got a few things. Trouble putting grommets in, use a bit of Molykote or a bit of Vass. They've cut this one a little bit, not a big deal, but make sure you've got your wiring outside. There's a couple of clips for it to sit in. I've already put that on, so I can't show you those. Sorry about that. If you need to take this lock off, you can actually do it by just removing the 2 side nuts, right? That one and that one, you know, because that holds that on. So that's what I made. I'll pop that in place, and then I was putting this in, and I thought, you know what? I'll just show you that you can remove that separately. Now I'm going to put those 4 nuts back on. Okay, so plug your plug in. The wire should be the right length. If you've left enough out there for it to stay in the clips, hopefully. This cable tends to want to sit in behind, right? The wire, not over the top of it. So that's how I put it. They've got a bit of foam there because it's rubbing on the body. the ball just goes around and goes in, and you just push that in. There's no adjustment on that. And then when you pull the outside handle, you'll see it do that. Right, and if you pull the inside handle, you should see it do nothing. Look at that, amazing. That seems a bit odd, doesn't it? And the thing is, right, it would be odd because either I've done something wrong. No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. I'm just a bit confused because why would a cable push out? Seems odd, doesn't it? But when the door's shut, I'm sure whatever's happening is right and meant to be, but I'm not going to think about it too hard because I need to get this back together. All right, so we're going to wrap it up now anyway. It's gone on for long enough. Success with the spoiler being tightened up. That's all good. All I had to do was pop off the top trim for that. Everything's been checked and cleaned though. That previously broken clip up there, at least that glue's drying for that to be refitted. Better chance it's going to stay there. That is the OE design, so we'll try and keep it that way. The number plate thing, that's all fixed up. Happy days. Everything's all been cleaned and lubed. Covers back on. All we've got to do is put the rear trim back on, which we're just waiting for some these metal side clips here and a couple of those white plastic ones like this. You know, we're getting a few of those so we can, you know, replace and do it properly. So pretty straightforward, popping the trim back on. So hopefully you learnt something. I did. And there's no need for you to learn from your own mistakes or learn the hard way. You can learn from my mistakes. So subscribe, turn the bell on if you reckon it's worth it, and we'll catch you on the next video. See ya.